Working this week. Pros, welcome to Pro Power Hour. My name is Chris Weldon. I'm one of the community managers with Housecall Pro. If you're new to the Facebook community, welcome. Encourage you to join us on Zoom going forward. We'll be switching platforms soon, so I'll have some info about that. But encourage you to sign up for this webinar and be here every week. If you're new to Housecall Pro or you're new to the community, it's a great way to just get some training. It's a product training webinar. We do this every Thursday at this time of 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. We've covered almost every product and feature in Housecall Pro since we started this thing nearly a year ago. We're going to be coming up on a year pretty soon. We have a help article. We have a YouTube playlist with all of our past recordings and sessions. So you can go back and watch anything in the past. And then we're starting to, repeat some new topics. And as we do that, we're showing you kind of what's changed, what some updates have been since we last covered some of these topics. So we'll also have some onboarding sessions. If you have new employees, those are the old ones are still, the recordings are still in our help center, but we'll have some new ones coming out later this year. Fully up to date on everything that we've delivered since the last one. It's a great way for, like I said, if you have a new employee, new office staff, or new technician, have them watch one of those videos. It's really just a good experience to learn everything they need to know about using the software on a daily basis. And if there's any topics that we can cover for y'all, if there's anything specific that you need help with, we're always taking your suggestions. So let us know what we should do next. But today we're going to tackle progress invoicing and invoice reminders again. As always, Phil is joining us. Phil's on the onboarding team. We're really grateful for his partnership. So Phil, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, sounds good. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, today we are going over the progress invoicing and invoice reminders. We've gotten some feedback from you all. And as I was preparing for it today, actually a lot of the feedback that was provided is very helpful. And I promise that we will get a lot of that feedback sent up to our product managers and developers to make some improvements to this. This is a fairly new feature, so we are always open to feedback so that we can continue to improve our product as well as all the features that come with it. So, again, today we're just going to kind of run through progress invoicing as that's more of a newer thing and making sure that people are using it correctly. So, as usual, we're going to start off with a little slide deck, again, giving you all some information about progress invoicing. And then we'll go ahead and I'll show you all how we use it within our system. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions, that ones that have already been prepared, and of course, any that come up during our presentation. So let's get into it. So for our progress invoicing, why are we using progress invoicing? And when we are using it, it's mostly for the web at this time. And what it allows us to do is for any larger jobs or ones that may have multiple invoices, or if you want to take deposits, progress invoicing is perfect for you because that allows you to take a big number for a particular project and be able to break it up into smaller payments for your customers. Customers love having payment plans, being able to pay as they go. And as the business owners and the service pros, I'm sure you're happy to take some of their money up front so that you can go ahead and use that for your labor, your materials, or permits or anything that you may need to get started on this project. So, a couple of things that the progress invoicing points out is allowing you to take a fixed amount or percentage of the job across many different invoices. So if you want to take 10% down and you do another 40%, halfway through and then take the last 50 on the end, you can certainly do that. Then there's also the ability to see all the invoices sent within a summary so you know exactly what is outstanding and what is left to be collected. So again, with these big ticket projects, that way we can go ahead and see, if the first phase was paid off, if the first and the second phase was paid off, and we're still waiting payment on the third, we'll be able to see that very clearly within our accounts. Also, job numbers and invoice numbers will be separate. So one job number can have several invoices associated with it. So that's another thing. Whereas in the past, we've typically had to go with segments on this. And with segments, this can be broken up and be a little nuanced depending on how you do segments. Our session last week was on segments. So I strongly encourage you all to take a look at that if you missed out on that particular session. But with progress invoicing, we made it a little bit easier. I understand that there is a little frustration with invoice numbers versus job numbers, but really we find that this is the best way for for the majority of our service pros. Another thing is increasing the transparency with your customers on the billing schedule to improve their experience because a couple sessions ago, we went through the client portal. And so when we have jobs for them and we start sending them invoices, they can be able to track like how many invoices they paid off of one job. And we'll also be able to do that here on the office side. So moving forward, why choose progressive billing? A couple more bullet points here is allowing you all to set up a payment schedule for a customer that is more flexible in order to reduce the price of objections on larger and more expensive jobs. The assurance of getting some of that skin in the game and buy-in from the customers up front. Reducing the cash flow burden on the business by allowing a pro to pay for the labor, materials, etc., that go into the job or project with cash from the job itself. Drives communication with a customer by giving status updates based on the paid to date and outstanding balance. So really reiterating all the highlights from the previous slide here. So here's just a picture of how it's going to look in your account. Now, again, we are going to go through this together when we do our demo, but really all there is to it for progressive invoicing is that we can go ahead and we'll see the invoice box, be able to add an invoice. And the only other options when it comes to looking at all of the invoices that are associated with a job is really to resend the invoice, pay the invoice, or there is the more button, which allows us to void it. So if we sent one by accident, we can always void it, resend it. And I forget what the other two are off the top of my head, but we will revisit it when we pull it up in my demo. So a couple of frequently asked questions in regards to progress invoicing. Now, these aren't the ones that we have prepared that we prepared before the meeting, but these are just common ones that have come up. So do I still have to use segments to progress invoice? And as I mentioned at kind of the beginning of my speech here is that no. If you prefer to keep billing all in one segment, you can use this feature to keep a record of all the invoices within the invoice summary table. Now, again, if you do prefer to use segments, don't let me change your mind, but this is something that is available to you. Um, do I have a limit on how many invoices I can create for a single job? The answer is no, and that's the beauty of it, is you can continue to create as many invoices that is needed for a particular job so that you and the customer can, have some sort of agreement financially. So can each invoice have its own due terms? Yes, it can. So every invoice that we send, we can go ahead and make different changes to the amounts, the terms, really anything that you need, because at the end of the day, it's just its own invoice. What do the different statuses mean for the invoice? So currently there are 3 different statuses, and we're going to see these together. It is open, paid, and void. Open is obviously when the invoice has been created and created and sent, and there is an outstanding balance. Paid will show that when an invoice actually has a specific payment on it. And void is an action that you can take, which I mentioned with the more button, which we will see when we demo it, is you'll be able to void out a invoice. So if you make a mistake on an invoice and want to send the correct one to my customer, what should you do? Really, what I typically coach people to do is that you can go ahead and void the invoice with that more button, which again, we're going to see that together. And once that has been voided, you can just go ahead and reissue a new invoice for the proper amount. Pretty straightforward there. Now, shifting gears over to the other topic that we have for today, which is the invoice reminders. And we are starting to have customizable invoice reminders because before it was just more of an automated message. Now we have the ability to be able to target specific customers. I had a lot of pros in my time that would say, like, I don't want my invoice reminders going to the clients that I have that I work with frequently every week. Like that can start to become a headache for them and a bad customer experience. So we've made improvements so that we can go ahead and we can filter out or exclude specific customers from receiving these job notifications. So a couple of those key features is setting the reminders for the past due dates and set exclusions by specific customers or customer types. So we're going to see more uses of those customer tags, and to set a limit to the number of invoice reminders that a customer gets. Now, why would we use reminders? Because pros have different needs depending on what different type of customer they are. So, like the example I was mentioning earlier, residential versus commercial, and being able to specifically exclude reminders for maybe those commercial gigs where we are constantly sending them invoices versus our residential customers where we're maybe doing service work for them every couple of months or so. So we want to make sure that they're paying us at an appropriate amount of time. Here's just a little picture of how it's going to look. As of right now, the search by customers for the reminder exclusions is currently in alpha, so everybody may not have access to this at this time. And also the by customer tag that is in beta. So also that is not necessarily available to everybody at this time, but this is just kind of showing you an example of where we are in our testing, and it's coming to everybody shortly. Um, and on the other side is how it's going to look. I have it included with my account, so if you're not able to see these or if it's too small, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you it all in my account in just a moment. And actually, that moment is right now. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Now, I'm going to start by showing everybody where we go ahead and turn on our progress billing, just so that everybody has the option to turn it on if you don't have it on, or if you have it on and it's not really your bag, go ahead and turn it off. So it's up here in the settings, and it's going to be under invoices, and it's going to be preferences. So right here, really simple, progress invoicing. I have it turned on. And once that's turned on, as we mentioned, you'll see this here is that because again, with progress billing, we can have multiple invoices for a job, which means that we will not be able to match up the job with the invoice number. So how does progress billing work? We'll go ahead and we'll start up a new job. And let's put in our customer. And we'll start our project today. Okay. So we got here our super big project for $22,000, and we're going to go ahead and go through just how we would go ahead and do this. Now for invoicing, as I mentioned, there is the invoice field right here, and when we want to start with our first invoice, we would just simply hit the invoice button. Then from here, right up here into details, when we go ahead and click the edit pencil, this is where we have that option similar to deposits and discounts, where we really just ask for a dollar amount or percentage. So if we're going to go ahead and say, hey, we want, 10% up front, and maybe not $10, let's do 10%. And there we go. So now we can see here on the invoice amount is the 1980. That's most likely because I have some kind of discount somewhere in here. Yeah, this customer's on a discount. And then we have the job total. So how much is still, how much the original balance is versus how much is owed at this time. So we go ahead and send that off to the customer. As we can see here, now we have that this invoice is an open invoice as we await payment. Now, if we are going to go ahead and collect payment, there's the payment button right there. So the customer sends in a check. And there we go. It moves into the paid status. And for us, if we recall, now we in our payment history can see when we collected that payment, and we can have that match with our invoice records. There is that more button that I wanted to bring attention to. So, yep. Okay, so I did say that we would be able to void it. That is because that this one is already paid, but we can resend the invoice, view our invoice, print it, or export it as a PDF. So now that we collected our first invoice payment, let's go ahead and do another one and see what else happens. So if now we're going to say we collected 10%, now we want another 40%. All right, so once it's sent off there, that gives us the option here of where we can void the invoice. So as long as it's open, we can go ahead and void it. And really from there, that's really all there is to the progress invoicing. So I'm going to go ahead and shift gears over to showing where the invoice reminders are. And for those, that is going to be up here in the settings. And if we go down to invoices and automations. So under invoice automations, we have our invoice reminders right here. Now, the first thing is send an unpaid invoice reminder for every X amount of days after the due date is passed for a maximum of X reminders. Now, I did have some numbers in there, but I just wanted to show you all is that if we click the edit button, this will allow us to go ahead and make any changes to it. So if we want to send it an invoice reminder every day, every 2 days, every week, every 2 weeks, every 30 days, you can go ahead and set this up. Also, we can set up how many reminders happen. So if we're going to say that there were 5 reminders, that means there's going to be every 3 days, that's one reminder. The next 3 days, that's going to be a second reminder. The next three is going to be the third reminder, and so on and so forth until it has reminded the customer 5 times. Underneath that, that is the exclusions that are coming out. So in here, you can see is that we can search for specific customers. If we want to exclude a specific tag, so maybe let's do. Oh, I don't have anybody in there. I should have a. Maybe not. Um, Can't think of one that some of my customers are on at this current time, but it's the same idea as searching in for the customer as we saw it as easy, just pulling up their name and adding them to the list down here. You can always at any time go ahead and remove any of the customers that are currently on your list. And with that, that's really all there is to invoice reminders. So with that, I will go ahead and open the floor to any questions, and I'll let those from the chat start rolling in while I answer some of the questions that we already have prepared here. Let's go ahead and see here first. All right, got a question from Jesse. Wants to turn off the progress billing feature, but wants to know if any open progress invoices will be affected. I don't want anything getting messed up. Now, I was doing some digging into this and I'm still waiting on a response. I'm not 100% sure, but it would make sense to me that if you go ahead and turn off progress invoicing, that should not affect any of the invoices that happened beforehand. It should only affect any of the invoices moving forward. When I did a test myself, it didn't look like it did anything for me. I asked for some confirmation. Again, I'm waiting on that, so we can certainly follow up with you on it. But I'm pretty sure that it shouldn't affect any of your previous invoices. Next question is from Rebecca. How do we so basically she's having it sounds like why do we have so many $0 invoices since turning on progress billing? So for that, I don't have an answer for you, Rebecca. I would suggest that you reach out to us and get a support call so we can take a look at what you did and how it happened and things like that so we can further diagnose. I don't really have an answer for why that would happen. Chad, when using progress invoicing, is there no way to make a deposit show as a deposit on the invoice? So, Chad, this is actually really good feedback because I was looking into this myself, and when we do progress billing, there isn't a way to leave a note for the progress billing, and when we do a deposit on a job, it doesn't necessarily say deposit, it says invoice amount. The only way that I've been able to see it's a deposit amount is when we send off an estimate with a deposit. So I understand that that can be confusing and a little bit frustrating. So, as I said, that is very good feedback. We're going to take that upstairs so that we can at least have it say deposit on the invoices because that does make sense to me that that should be included. Um, Next question from Felipe. Is there a way to add a note to a progress invoice? As I mentioned, the answer at this time is no. You can leave a message on an invoice similar to you can on all your other invoices, but I know what you're trying to say is like I want a note. Um, at this time, there really isn't for progress invoicing. So again, great feedback that we're going to bring up to the product managers. Next question from John. Sends a partial invoice, but customers assume it's the final invoice and don't want to pay any other invoices. So John, um, I'm not really sure. As I was looking at this too, it's because I think these are all kind of tying into the fact that we can't leave a note on a progress to invoice. Um, and I think that could clear up a lot of the headaches. However, when I did pull up my invoice that was one of many, it did say invoice amount that was due today, and then there above it, it did have like the subtotal. So I can see where customers can get confused, but I also think that it's also somewhat clear that what they're paying, especially if they're paying online, it should really only force to make the payment that is being required. So I understand that the feedback. Again, we'll forward that to the product managers. Next one from Matthew. When sending invoice reminders via email, why does the date change? Why does the date of the invoice change in QuickBooks to the date we send the reminders? Matthew, unfortunately, I do not know the answer to that because that is more on the QuickBooks side. What I would recommend is you can reach out to the blue chat bubble at the bottom right of your account, ask to speak with a QuickBooks representative, and ask the question there. But as far as I know, I do not have the answer for that. Next question from Jimmy. Is there a way to set reminders for appointments that are scheduled, say 6 months in advance, reminders for the customer, not us? Um, the answer is yes, Jimmy. That's not really what we were going over today, but I will certainly show you the answer to your question. So for that, my opinion would be is that you would want to set up your email automation, and you can set up a campaign for before a job starts. And for your rule, you can set it up to go out in your example, 6 months in advance of the job. So you can go ahead and send that out 6 months in advance, set up another campaign to have it go out maybe 3 months, another one that goes out 1 month, and then another one that goes out 2 weeks or something like that. So that would be the answer to your question. And that is it for all of the ones that were prepared beforehand. So let me see. Did any of them come through the chat?
Got one here on Facebook from Sean. He's saying when we send a progress invoice, it pushes the full amount of the job to QBO. So our QBO will show us all these jobs have overdue balances. That's for things we haven't sent yet. Is there a way to only push over the actual amount invoiced?
Uh, Sean, you might want to reach out to our QuickBooks rep, QuickBooks support, because I'm sorry, guys, I'm just not very well versed in QuickBooks. House calls my gig.
Yeah, Sean, I don't have that answer off the top of my head either. I'll have to dig into that for you. And then Andrew, I see your questions here as well. A little bit unrelated. I'm trying to find out the answers to those. I know you can't do either of those things. I'm just trying to find out the exact reason why, uh, related to price book. So I will circle back with you. Otherwise, y'all, any final questions? Now is the chance. If you are watching and if you haven't been to one of our office hours yet, been promoting it the last few weeks, encourage you, come join, hang out. It's a great way to not only talk to Housecall Pro, you get to talk to some of us here at Housecall Pro, but other pros as well. Um, Amber, who's usually at these power hours, she's been at our office hours every week, giving advice to people. Tyler, who's here, he's been to a lot of them. It's really just a good opportunity to talk to other pros, get advice, talk to us. So that's at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. It's every single Friday. It's on Zoom. You can join us from the road. Chris Olson joined us from a roof. You can join us from your office, wherever you're at. So if you're interested in that, let me know, get you the link, and we'll see you tomorrow. But otherwise, that's right, Rainbow works out of her closet. Yes, tomorrow, my price.
Text can't search for line items. Ooh, my price book is not my text can't search. Ooh, Tyler, we would have to take a deeper look at that. I would, yeah, try reach out to us and try and set up a support call.
Yeah, yeah. And if you join us tomorrow, Tyler, we can try and Lauren and I can try and help you out. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for office hours, or otherwise we'll get you a support call. Cool. Y'all, next week we're going to be talking about the max plans and the Super Pro program. So Amber is going to be here next week. She's going to join us. We'll talk a little bit about the difference between what you get on Max and Max Plus versus what you're getting on Basic and Essentials plans, why you might want to consider upgrading to get some other tools. So we'll talk about that. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll be talking about payroll. So if you're interested in learning more about our payroll options and our plans, we're going to do that in 2 weeks. And then I'm seeing a lot of price book questions today. So maybe we'll tackle that in 3 weeks from now. So there's your upcoming topics. Otherwise, hope to see you tomorrow. Phil, thanks again. We'll catch everyone next week.
All right, later.
Bye.